Let's hope those terraformers don't wake up before I finish the job, so I can pick you all up. Assuming you find Agent Sienna. And she's still alive.
Alright, first of all we have Hubris, this VR shooter at its core and with an episodic structure. Actually the first episode of which, come to mention after years of anticipation, came our way no more than only a few months ago, and has been sitting on Steam for free ever since. Frankly, there's not really much to talk about with Hubris as of this moment, other than the fact that the game is visually really nice, and that the game in its full is set to be coming our way in only a few months from now, so keep it in mind.
Remember, recruit, you're part of the Triple O now, under the wings of the mightiest fleet the galaxy has ever seen. But here, within the Twin Planet system, you're on your own.
This has actually been a long time coming. However, a brand new teaser trailer for Pirate VR Jolly Roger just came our way, and we're supposedly in for the official release date of this game in the following months. Now for those of you new here, well, Pirates VR Jolly Roger is described by its developers as a linear, story-driven virtual reality game, obviously, and set on this mysterious island somewhere in the Caribbean. So check it out, make sure to stay tuned for that precise release date. Coming up at number 3, we have Bone Lab. See, Bone Lab is on its way to Quest 2 and PCVR. It is, of course, the follow-up to the popular virtual reality game Boneworks. The new game, however, is set to include a brand new story, and the gameplay of which seems to be almost identical to the first game. Bone Lab's set to be releasing in just a few months from now, and here we have some actual new gameplay from earlier this week. Moving on, we have Zenith, The Last City, actually an MMO game or project as of this moment that was only funded through Kickstarter. See, Zenith was actually planned for an early 2022 release. It is now sitting on Steam with mixed to positive reviews. Why? It's a pretty basic kind of MMO, but one that's actually mixed with a hefty amount of innovation when it comes to virtual reality controls. Lots of potential there, definitely could use more work, and this is how it actually looks like. Paradox of Hope, on the other hand, is a single-player virtual reality shooter with survival and horror elements, or well, so it's described by its developers. A story-driven game, and it seems to be taking quite a bit of inspiration from games like Metro. But once again, frankly, not much to talk about with this one as well. All we know is that Paradox of Hope, besides the gameplay trailer here, is on its way to PCs and VR headsets soon, possibly even in the next couple of months, so keep it in mind.
Yeah. どうもー。はじめまして。君が今日からデビューする魔法使いだね。
Alright, we just got ourselves a new gameplay trailer for Ruins Magus. But what some of you might have been familiar with from earlier to be a VR fantasy exploration-based action RPG. It is a good game. There's a problem though. Up until a couple of weeks ago, there was this Kickstarter campaign that was held for the game. Well, the campaign just failed, and if we are lucky, I would guess, it'll somehow go through a second phase. Well, check it out, and for further details, go and visit Ruins Magus Kickstarter here.
今日は本当にお疲れ様。
Guys, moving on, we have Hell's Weeper VR. What is best described as a roguelike first-person combat simulator. This game, for those of you new, comes our way from the same developers behind Sirento, that is another crazy game made in virtual reality. Hell's Weeper VR, we have heard, will have its pre-alpha demo coming in about a couple of months from now, and eventually in its full releasing on Oculus and PCVR headsets late 2022. Check it out in case you missed it. Announced, I think, 6 to 7 months ago. Not really, it doesn't really matter. We have Requisition, that is the latest work of the fine folks behind Hinge, in case you're not familiar with this psychological horror game. Requisition VR, however, is a survival game. It is set to offer some 4-player co-op in a world infested with zombies, where basically you'd have to survive with whatever you can just find. Check it out. The game's actually due out around September this year.
Automation has ruined the lives of billions. In Australia, the Aspire program is resurrected to take down the techno-terrorist network Opus.
Spire 2, however, the one and only spy-themed kind of sort of stealth shooter sequel to the old Spire game hit from earlier, is now coming to Quest 2 only, around November this year. The new game in the series, however, we heard comes with a single-player campaign, sort of sandbox-based mode from the first entry, and this time around there will even be a second campaign with a full co-op support as well. Take a look.
We need you. Time is running out. We only have 10 days. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 4. Assimilate.
Not really sure how long it's been, but it's been a long while since we came across Undead Citadel, which we're basically talking about virtual reality zombies in a medieval setting. Undead Citadel is said to offer a story in which he plays a soldier who then finds himself in the middle of a plague, something back in the medieval times. It's kind of like Evil Dead, but like from way back in time. Check it out, this game's said to be coming to PCs and VR headsets only.
Most of the block's jacked in or too strung out to make trouble. Minor gang activity, some triad, CryptoPunks, AI rights activists.
Now, in case you didn't know, Lo-Fi is actually available now in its early access phase for PCVR, with plans for a full launch into other headsets as well sometime later this year. I will say it is definitely one of the most promising titles due to arrive this year. It's a cyberpunk adventure and indeed also the spiritual successor to Iris VR's Technoblast. Check it out. Coming up behind that, we have Into the Darkness. Well, obviously an indie game from Cosmos Games is an action-adventure at its core, built on sort of physics mechanics. The game itself is actually set in the near future where humanity is trying to achieve immortality by transferring consciousness to machines, just like that Black Mirror's episode. Check it out. Into the Darkness releases for PCVR later this year, and for Oculus Rift, Valve Index, HTC Vive, and Windows mixed reality headsets as well. Moving on, we have Outlier or Liar. This is a roguelite adventure virtual reality featuring first-person shooting and role-playing game elements. Outlier is actually available now on Steam through its early access phase for $15, and it's sitting there with a lot of mixed reviews, mostly negative. Tell you the truth, all this game really needs is a little bit more time in the oven. In terms of overall content, it's actually right up there with games like Control. Check it out in case you missed it.
Was passed to me. But now I'm dead.
Firmament over here comes our way from the same studio that brought us Myst earlier. This is, however, a Kickstarter project that was pledging for something like north of $1 million. That goal is actually met, and the game's supposedly releasing later this year. Firmament is described by its developers as a deeply immersive narrative adventure game. It is designed for VR, but built to play on PCs as well, coming to Rift, Vive, Index, Mac OS, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation VR 2. Check it out.
For opening the gateway and preparing for the arrival. Vite dilation effere recurit firmamento. Firmamentum.
On the other hand, we have Little Cities, an upcoming virtual reality city simulator. Now, this is basically a reworked version of the original PC game, Cities Skylines or something, and coming to Oculus Quest 2 May 12 this year. Little Cities is actually more of a city building game. Other than that, don't really know much besides this trailer that the fine folks at the company just came up with. Take a look.
This world you know, battered and broken, is not the world that was intended. There are those that believe humanity was always fated to destroy itself. They'll tell you this future will always be inevitable.
Wanderer is actually available now on Steam for the price of $40. This game is actually sitting there with a very positive review score, so to speak. And besides the core gameplay, Wanderer is an adventure game that puts you in the shoes of a time traveler who for some reason finds himself trapped in an alternative timeline in history where there's this inevitable global disaster to come. The game is pretty solid, it's creative as hell, literally a mix of Half-Life Alyx and I Expect You to Die as well, which is another VR game in case you're confused. Anyway, take a look.
Must finish what I could not.
Oh, that's just wonderful. So no pressure then.
Moss Book 2 is also available now on the PlayStation VR for the price of $40 as well. It is actually the follow-up to 2018's puzzle platformer Moss Book, the first. The new game is actually numerously regarded since release as a great sequel, taking the series in a more creative direction and improving on its original formula in every single element, or so they say. Anyway, check it out. This game's also coming to Oculus Quest 2 headsets at a later date. And last but not least, we have War Yards, which is a 1 vs 1 multiplayer shooter with just a brand new set of mechanics that allow you to control your enemies' projectiles. You'll see in a second. The thing about it is actually you can play War Yards on its current beta form for free on Oculus.com. It is actually got a pretty good rating there as well. The full game, however, is still in development and set to be coming out real shortly.